Hello and welcome to Schmutzerella's Yarn Room. My name is Nancy and I'm the owner and dyer behind Schmutzerella Yarns. This is Gomez, and I didn't think that he would want to be on the show, but just as I hit record he decided to jump up and say hi. So we're going to leave him there and let him hang out for as long as he would like. Anyway, hi baby. So I decided to start the show because I've been doing stories on Instagram lately, and it's been, okay, he wants to get a mommy shirt. I post pictures of this on Instagram occasionally, and nobody ever gets to see it happen, but this is his favorite place to be. So, this is real life. Anything can happen, right? Anyway, I decided to start doing a podcast or vlog or whatever you want to call it on YouTube, because sometimes the stories on Instagram are just a little bit too short, and I like reaching out and connecting with my people. So you can find me on Instagram at Schmutzerella, on Facebook at Schmutzerella Yarns, and on Ravelry as Schmutzerella. And there's even a Schmutzerella Yarns Ravelry group. I'll be sure to link all of those below. Okay. Oh, also, I'm located in Snohomish, Washington. I dye out of my apartment, and you can find my yarn at schmutzerellayarns.com and in several of the local yarn shops in the area. This Saturday, oh, it's okay, honey. This Saturday, I'm going to be down at, I think it's the 9th. That can't possibly be right. I'm not sure what day it is. This Saturday, I'm going to be down at, I'll see if I can do some editing magic and put it like right here. This Saturday, I'm going to be down at Seattle Yarns in West Seattle for my first trunk show there. I'm very excited. Anyway, I was going to start the show talking about, like featuring a colorway, but they're on the wall behind me, and now there's a cat in my shirt, so I think we might save that until he decides to move. Are you just going to move for me? No, you're going to sit in front of my face. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, maybe now I can show you things. First, let's talk about knitting, because that's what we're here for, right? So the thing that I've been working on the most lately, oh, there we go. Okay, bye Gomez, is a hat out of my own Handspun. This is the Violet Waffles hat. It's free on Ravelry. And this is actually the second hat that I'm knitting out of this skein of Handspun. I've recently started dyeing fiber for spinning. I haven't decided if I'm permanently adding it to the line or not. But this is actually a big reason why. I've had my spinning wheel for, oh goodness, like 8 years. And I play with it on and off. I don't usually do a lot with it. But I ordered a bag of tiddly bits from Sit and Spins on Etsy. And they're just little balls of fiber that you just sort of grab out of the bag at random. And I just spun them willy-nilly and plied them on themselves. I think about here is where the camera likes to see the yarn. And I love the little barber pulley stripey effect. And now I want to do all the Handspun. So the first hat that I did out of this ball, I gave to a friend of mine for Christmas. And then I looked at the cake and I was like, I think I have enough left for another one. So this one's for me. And I think it might be at that fun awkward stage where it barely fits on my head. Yeah, this is as far as I can get it on, because I'm using the, small circs. But I'm loving it and I can't wait to finish it. Okay, now that the cat's gone, and before I forget, let's show you the sort of featured yarn. I want to talk to you today about troll boogers. For those who don't know, most of my colorways are inspired by nerd and pop culture with a really big focus on Harry Potter. Harry Potter was my first, like, fandom love. I read the books all the way through growing up. I felt like I grew up alongside Harry, and I could dye Harry Potter yarn forever and still not run out of ideas. So several years back, I had a Schmutzerella and the Sorcerer's Yarn Club. And it was sort of like a year-long club and read-along of Sorcerer's Stone. And every month I had I had two colorways. One was a variegated, one was tonal. And most of the tonals are now part of my permanent collection. And when we got to the Halloween subscription, Halloween chapter, I knew I wanted to do something with the troll, and I knew I wanted to do troll boogers, because that's such a great scene when, like, you know, they jump on the troll's back, and I think it's Harry's wand goes up the troll's nose, and then it's gross, and anyway. But I wanted that to be a color that people might actually like and knit with. So it's sort of like this great gray-green colorway. And I never really expected it to do anything beyond be in the club and sort of be a funny thing. But when I was filling out my permanent collection of tonals, I realized I really needed this color to sort of fill out the line. And what I love about it is if you compare it to Sickle, and Sickle is just sort of my standard gray, you can see how green Troll Boogers looks. But if you hold it up next to a green, like Devil's Snare or Quidditch Through the Ages, it really kind of just looks gray. And it's a really fantastic neutral color. I haven't finished anything with it. I'm currently working on a hat, and by currently working on it, I mean, I think I started crocheting it last July, and I haven't worked on it since then. Maybe I'll dig that out and finish it. But I've seen it worked up in projects, and I really love it. And if you're watching this and you're close to Gig Harbor, I just sent out several skeins of Troll Boogers on Spectacular today, down to Rainy Day Yarns. That shop, for whatever reason, the people there really love Troll Boogers. It is one of the top sellers of my yarns there, and I think that that's really cool. So you guys are getting more Troll Boogers. Anyway, back to the knitting. So I showed you my hat, and let's see. Let's talk about socks. The sock project that I'm currently working on is this one. I'm not very far along. I gave a friend of mine, this was the only IOU I gave somebody for Christmas this year, which usually there's a lot of IOUs, so I'm proud of that. And I gave him the skein of yarn, and it's a one-of-a-kind, and the colorway is Let Me Go On, and it has these great pops of white and yellow. And ever since I dyed it, I kind of knew I wanted to make something for him out of it, because his favorite song to do at karaoke is Blister in the Sun, and that's what this is inspired by, so there we go. But I've been doing a lot of plain vanilla socks lately, because that's sort of my project on the go. So I wanted to do something with a little bit of pattern. You can't see much of it. And I was going to tell you what the name of the pattern is. It's free on Ravelry, but I totally don't remember. So I'll see about adding that here too, if I can figure out the editing magic. So I cast these on Christmas Day, day after Christmas, and I really loved them. The stitch pattern is really interesting. Without doing cabling, it's just sort of, there's some weird increases that happen and yarn overs, and but the stitches kind of do like a, you know, that kind of hourglassy shape. But when it comes to socks, I can't leave well enough alone. I have to take the pattern, and whether it's written toe up or cuff down, I flip it so that it's toe up, because that's my favorite way to knit socks. And I always throw in a fish lips kiss heel. And this pattern was written with a fish lips kiss heel in mind, so that's cool. But the pattern doesn't start until a couple of stitches in. And I'm not very far into it, but I kind of stalled on it because I think I want it to go all the way to the edge. The thing with fish lips kiss heel is you can take any pattern that you want, throw it on the front of the sock, work your way up to the heel, work the heel, do continue the pattern up the cuff, and do a little stockinette section on the back of the heel, and then you continue your pattern all the way around. And if the pattern repeat ends 2 stitches in on either side, and it's a 4-stitch repeat, that means once I get past the heel, I'm going to have to like either have the pattern split in the middle of a row, or shift the start of my round. And I know myself well enough that that's going to drive me nuts. So I just need to rip back like 6 rows and just start it right at the edge. But I haven't done that, and it's been sitting on my needles since the new year, and when I kind of have been obsessed with my hats. So I need to go back and fix that. You know what? Let's do it right now. We're talking about it. Let's just do it right now. And hopefully, since I'm doing this on camera and I don't want to make you guys watch me put it all back on the needles, hopefully I don't rip out all the stitches by the time I pick them up again. And you know what? Let's just chat while I do that, because I reminded myself while I was talking that that's a really stupid idea, and knowing my luck, Gomez will come in here while I'm talking about something else and try to steal my sock and unravel the rest of the thing. I don't know. He's a really good kitty. I lovingly refer to him as Murder Face because he's still a little bitey and he's still a little scratchy, but I trained him early on that he's not allowed to mess with mommy's yarn. And anytime he sort of starts to bat at it or whatever, we have a conversation about, you know, honey, that's what pays the bills and gets you your cat food. And, you know, he's a cat and doesn't understand English. So he just looks at me because, you know, whatever. But it makes me feel better. I'm, you know, 3 cats short of being a crazy cat lady, but I'm essentially a crazy cat lady. That's fine. I like it. He's my baby and I love him. Okay, that's one side. Okay, so while we're talking about socks, socks are the kind of thing that I literally always keep shoved in or in my purse or in a project bag tied to my purse, because even patterned socks, that is the most portable knitting for me, and I have no patience, and so I hate waiting, and I always need to have something to fidget with while I'm waiting. I've been known to knit a couple of rows on socks while in the Starbucks drive-thru line because the line is really slow because, I don't know, it's Saturday morning and everybody needs their coffee. And I usually have a couple pairs going, at least one plain vanilla pair. But lately I've been craving complicated socks, and I'm really excited about these. Oh, last stitch. Ta-da! All back on the needle. I'll check after the show, make sure my stitch count's right and all of that. I probably need to increase some more. But anyway, so that is a project from this past Christmas. It's the only one I still owe someone, so that's cool. But my dad, oh my dad, for those who don't know, my dad helps me with dyeing yarn. In Eclipse Day in 2017, I sprained my ankle really bad and I couldn't stand at the dye pots. And so he was really nice and he came over and he helped me dye yarn, and he still does. He helps me out all the time. We can crank through a bunch of yarn on dye days and it's super great. So I decided last Christmas that he deserved some socks. And so I knit this one for him. The yarn, oh, both of these. The yarn base is Dude. I dyed them myself. Dude is 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 400 yards. It's my favorite sock yarn. It's squishy and bouncy and comfy and wonderful. And here's the second sock. Let's see, I am real close to the heel. And these were for him for Christmas last year. And my dad is one of those guys that he loves my yarn and he loves my knitting. But he never wants to get it dirty or wear it out or whatever. So I finally convinced him that no, really, Dad, really, I want you to wear these. I want you to use them. But my work knitting for him needs to come first. So I was cruising on him last winter, and then we signed up to vend at the CGOA, Crochet Guild of America conference in Portland in the summer. And he's like, you know, I really want my socks and I'm really excited about my socks, but you need to make a whole bunch of samples. And I don't want you to delay on the samples because you're knitting these socks. So they got set aside and we did the show and I made a bunch of samples and that was really great. But then I wasn't knitting the socks and I started knitting other things and they never got done. So I need to finish these socks for him. We talked about it around Christmas and he was like, oh yeah, I still think it would be really good if you worked on samples, but yeah, I would like my socks. I'm okay with you knitting on them. So now I need to just get these done. I'm really close to, oh, that's a big tangle. I was just going to knit on these for a while I talked, but I think I will sort that out after the show. I was really cruising on them, but I think I was taking these to a game night, board game night with friends, and I was so close to the heel that I didn't want to have to stop and count rows and calculate where it was and everything, so I set them aside. So once I get past the heel, I'll just fly to the cuff and they can be done. So not only do I want to get the socks kind of off the needles and given to my dad because he likes them and deserves them and I love him and I'd like him to have socks. I want to cast on some more socks for me. And I think I have a third pair of needles somewhere, but I'm not sure where. But my sock needles are full, guys, and that's kind of a problem. The socks that I want to cast on are Argyle socks by Gray Drizzle Fibers. She is another Seattle area indie dyer, and we vended at Yarn Revolution right across the aisle from each other. And when I knew she was going to be there, I went and I checked out her website, and I saw she has these Argyle sock kits, and they are, the pattern is diamonds and rakers. The rakers are those little zigzaggy bits in Argyle socks that she designed for her yarn. And she sells, like I said, she sells these kits. And I knew I wanted one. I don't typically knit with other yarn, but besides my own. Not that I don't love and appreciate other indie dyers, because I do. It's just, I have a wall full of yarn, and I constantly need to make samples and show off my work and that kind of thing. So I usually knit with my yarn. But look at this. At her booth at Yarn Revolution, she had build your own kit options. So this green is the main color. The red is going to be the diamonds. And this grayish, creamyish, it's almost like a oyster kind of white, is going to be the rakers. And she had all of the different, you know, they're sized out for how much yarn you need for a pair of socks. She had a bunch of various sizes of mini skeins, and you could pick and choose your own colors. And I decided I wanted some Argyle Christmas socks. I was going to try to get them done for last year, but Christmas got a little bit too nuts for me, and that just wasn't going to work out. So, my idea is to have socks for next Christmas. But just after the new year, I was on Instagram, and 3 Green Bananas, who I follow, was posting that she also snagged one of these kits, and her thing for the new year was she wanted to knit more socks, and she wanted to learn new things and do more complicated socks. So she was casting on her pair. And hey, did anybody want to knit along with her? And I'm a sucker for knit along. I was like, yeah, me, I want to. That was like January 2nd. I think today's the 8th, 9th. Seriously, guys, I have no idea what day it is. It's Tuesday. I know that it's Tuesday. And I clearly still haven't done anything with my yarn. I was getting ready for the St. Distaff spin-in up in Monroe, which was last weekend. And so I couldn't take the time and cast on the socks. And frankly, I want to get these guys off the needles before I cast these on. She's already most of the way to her heel. Whatever, I can knit along behind her. It's fine. Part of the reason that's sort of hanging me up is Argyle socks are worked in tarsia. So I need to bust these mini skeins into even minier skeins and like wind them on bobbins, and I need to set aside some dedicated time to make that happen. One day. It's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. I'm very excited about it. I want these socks. Anyway, last knitting thing that I want to show you, and if you guys have followed me on Instagram, or you saw me at some trunk shows this past fall, you may have seen me working on my sweater. This is, let's see. Oh, look at those cables. Look at how pale it makes me. It's so great. This is the Adventure sweater by Joji Locatelli. And it is a cardigan, but really it's essentially a coat. If you have a minute, go to Ravelry, check it out. It like hangs to your knees, and it's squishy and warm and lovely. And silly me, I thought I was going to get this done in order to wear at shows last fall. So didn't happen. But I did get past, you know, it's raglan, it's top-down raglan style. I did get past the armholes, and I'm like 3 or 4 inches past that. And then I didn't hit my goal, and then I stopped working on it. you know, we were getting closer to Christmas and all of my gift knitting took priority, and I was really disappointed with myself. And real talk for a minute. I suffer pretty strongly from depression. That is not the way that I wanted to say that. I have a pretty strong depression. I don't really suffer from it. I guess I do. I don't know. Now I'm rambling. It's great. Anyway, I have depression. And I've had it for a lot of years. And thankfully, sort of what got me to start recording on Instagram was actually I needed to communicate things. And the thing with Instagram stories is they're only 24 hours. So I could openly talk on a really heavy depression day. And I could connect with my people and let them know what was going on. But you didn't see that forever. You know, I'm putting this on YouTube, and YouTube's forever. So there we go. Hey, YouTube, I have depression. Guess what? Nothing you can do about it. But I've been knitting for years, and I've always wanted to make sweaters. I've always wanted to make a sweater for myself. But I am not a small woman, and so a sweater for me takes a lot of yarn, which gets expensive even if I dye it myself and at my cost. And I have never felt like I've deserved that. I have never felt like I am worth spending that much time on. I've made sweaters for other people, and I really enjoyed them, and they were great. And they get worn all the time, and the owners love them, and that's really special. But this summer and fall, I decided, damn it, it's time I have a freaking sweater. And I want it, and I deserve it. And when I didn't hit my goal, that really set me back. To give you an idea, this sweater is going to take 12 skeins of my Groovy DK weight. It's going to be worth it, and it's going to be warm and wonderful, but that's a lot of knitting. I think I've gone through, I think I've completed 2 full balls of it. I'm alternating with hand-dyed yarn. It's recommended you alternate skeins while you work on it. I think I've completed 2 full skeins by now, maybe 3. So yeah, I didn't hit my goal. I had other stuff I had to work on. I shoved my project back in a project bag and buried my feelings and hid it and all of that. So I was talking about it with a lot of people at shows and trunk shows, and it's getting to the point where now people are like, hey, I haven't seen your sweater in a while. Did you finish it? And I'm like, no. I just had a long conversation with somebody about it yesterday, and I decided it's time to pull it back out. So this evening, I'm hoping to sit down with it, reacquaint myself with the pattern and the cables, and start making progress on it again. Because you know what? It started getting cold here. I would like to wear it. Maybe I can make this happen. Okay. That's my little rant on things and stuff. By the way, how cute is this bag? It's a Lizzie bag. I'm not sure if she has an Etsy or anything, but she sells her bags at Serial Knitters. And this one was specially made for me because the fabric reminded Debbie, who requested it, of Gomez. Okay, wow, we are about half an hour in, and I'm still rambling. There's still things on my table, so I'm going to keep talking. If you're still here and watching along, thanks for sticking around. Let's have some more squirt, shall we? Also, I apologize. I know my, I keep looking at the camera and then like away from the camera. I'm recording this on my phone, and like the camera is over here on the edge of it, but the screen is here. Like, I'll get better at this one day, I swear. Or maybe I won't and I'm a big fat liar. That's fine too. Anyway, so I've been obsessed with this handspun hat. And I started dyeing fiber. I know that I've already told you this. But this past weekend, today's Tuesday. So Saturday, I was vending at the St. Distaff Spin Day at the Monroe Fairgrounds. And I was like the only mainly yarn vendor there. Everybody else had fiber. Oh God, I love fiber. And I have been dyeing fiber as well, which is why I signed up to vend there. And I had a small selection of fiber. It was great. But I've really been itching to spin again. Last year, and I think they're still doing it, but I'm not sure. Maker's Mercantile down in Kent, Washington was doing like the first or second Saturday of the month, every month, we're having a spin in. So I went down to a few of them. And then I started getting really busy with trunk shows and life, and I had to stop going. But it really reignited my passion for spinning. So when I decided that I was going to start dyeing fiber, I did a couple of test braids to spin myself and make sure that like I could dye fiber and that it would spin okay. And just last night, well, let's back up. I started spinning those in like February of 2018. Okay, sorry about that weird little break. Again, we're going to try some editing magic. Apparently, my file only wanted to record for about half an hour, so. Anyway, let's get back to the yarn. So back in February, I dyed 3 different braids of superwash merino in 3 colorways that I used to regularly dye, inspired by Firefly. A white and pink, 2 shades of pink, called I Like the Ruffles. A variegated black, gray, pink called You're Using Wiles on Me. And technically it's a variegated, but I dye it in my tonal style, so it's really blotchy and it doesn't pool and stuff while you're knitting with it, called I Am the Ship. So 3 different dye styles, because I wanted to see how that worked with the fiber. I split those braids with my friend Patricia. You can find her on Instagram mostly as Madly Creative Me, and she occasionally does a podcast here on YouTube, Madly Creative something. I'll link that. She's wonderful and I love her. Anyway, I split the braids. I think we split them lengthwise in half. And I was like, here, I want your feedback on how they spin. And I will spin them as well. So she, of course, spin them, did something, beautiful yarn right away. I think she's even knit something with them by now. I haven't. But I started spinning them at the spin-ins. And so I did a 3-ply, 1 on each bobbin, because I wanted to see how they'd spin up. And finally, just last night, I finished the singles, like, over the summer. They've just been languishing on my bobbins since then. So I finally busted out my wheel. I have a Lendrum. His name is Gus. And I plied them over the past couple of days. And so it still needs a bath. I literally finished it at like midnight last night and let them rest on the bobbin overnight. So I just wound it off before I started recording. But it's a 3-ply that has a little bit of a gradient in it, and it should also stripe. I don't know. I'm going to go give it a bath when I'm done recording. I'm very excited about it. I have like 250 to 300 yards. That's not right. I think I have about 250 yards of this. Because I think I used I think I used about 6 ounces. I haven't weighed this yet. I was going to weigh it after it was done drying because, I don't know, reasons. And I think it's about a worsted weight. Again, I usually measure that after I let my yarn dry, but maybe closer to an Aran. But I finished it. You guys, I finished it. I'm very excited about this. And sort of what prompted me finishing it, aside from I want to spin all of the things and knit with all of the handspun right now, is last summer, again, everything was last year, Patricia went down to the Black Sheep Gathering in Oregon, and she picked up a braid of fiber from the Homestead Hobbyist, who is another Seattle area dyer. He does some beautiful fiber, and last January we vended together, spent the whole day chatting, and I love seeing him at shows, and he's a good guy, so I wanted to pick up some of his fiber because he was doing the HH sock along, where everybody was encouraged to spin a sock yarn. It didn't have to be sock weight, just specifically for socks, and knit it. And we had 3 months to do that. Yeah, it didn't happen for me. They did it, and they did some beautiful work. And I think Patricia finished hers late fall, and her socks are gorgeous. I've barely touched the fiber. I did, however, massacre it, with his blessing, of course, because he's like, it's your fiber, do what you want. Makers has a drum carder that you can rent by the hour, on the spin-in days. And so I took his beautiful, gorgeous braid of fiber that was, I don't think I have the card with me. Let me see. Nope. I don't know. Maybe I'll send him a message and ask him what that fiber was. He'll know. It was really special for the sock along. But I took his braid, and his colors, he does a beautiful job dyeing, but they're usually a bit more muted and sultry. Again, gorgeous, but not my typical aesthetic. So I took them to the drum carder, and I blended it with like a bunch of random bright stuff that I had in my fiber stash, because I was pretty sure that I wanted to make DK weight socks, because I wanted something thick and squishy and wonderful. And I was really worried that just 4 ounces of fiber wouldn't give me long enough socks. So I added about another 2 ounces. So I think I have about 6 ounces again. And so I blended them all up, and I apologize if this is really crinkly on the camera. I'm not sure what kind of sound it picks up yet. But I made bats out of them. I made 3 bats that all sort of coordinate, and I made these little bits of fibery roving that I plan on spinning from, because the last thing that I had spun, okay, please, there we go. The last thing that I had spun before making this bat was this yarn, and I loved how addicting those tiddly bits were, so I made my own. So there you can see, it's mostly sort of a dark tealy blue and a pinky purple, and then I threw pops of other things in. So I made these big bats, and I prepped the fiber while the spin along was going on, and I divided it into these 3 bags by weight, so I can just do 1 bag per bobbin. So this is the one I just showed you. 2, 3. And every time I've seen him or John, who works with Ken from Homestead Hobbyist, they're like, hey, so have you started your socks yet? And I'm like, no. One day I will finish them. But my bobbins have been full with this yarn. So I'm getting closer, guys. If you're watching this, I'm going to be spinning it soon. But there were still more bobbins that needed to get cleared off. And, I mean, really, I only have, sorry for bumping the camera. I only actually cleared off one bobbin with this yarn because I didn't spin the yarn super evenly. And so I have singles left over. Oh, bumped the camera again. Sorry. I have singles left over. I didn't end up with nearly as much white as I wanted to on in this yarn. This was that gradient pink to 2 shades of white that I had dyed. And I only got a little bit of white. That's fine. I have a good chunk of white left. And this was what was left of the pink and gray and black variegated. I'm thinking about chain plying this with itself. I'm not going to get much yardage out of it, but I think I'll get a nice little gradient that, if nothing else, will make a really pretty swatch. So I need to get that off the bobbin, and I obviously need to get this off the bottom, but chain plying white on white seems really boring. So I have another spinning project that's going to come for the socks. If you're watching this, Ken, I'm sorry. But I have this bat that Sharon Shahar, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I just mutilated your name. He is the genius pottery guy behind Creative with Clay. You know, those really cool knitted looking mugs. He's local, and we met each other at Maker's Mercantile, and we've sort of become fiber friends, and he's wonderful and awesome. And the very first day that Maker's had their drum carder out at a spin-in, he got to go play with it, and he made this bat. It's actually, the reason it's in the basket is it's currently in a bunch of pieces, but it's just this really little bat. And he was taking it around the room and showing it to people. And I went, you guys, you need to know I'm a smart ass. And I went, oh, Sharon, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. I never knew you cared. And the thing with Sharon is he's a really nice guy. And so he gave it to me. And I still kind of feel guilty about that. And then, you know, I don't know if he teases me as though he regretted it. Hopefully he doesn't actually. And he went on to make a whole bunch of other bats, and he is like a prolific spinner. And so he's spun them and has done some really cool stuff. But I still have this bat that what I had been planning on doing, and I took it and I split it into sort of roving-y, braidy, not braids, sections. To really try to keep the gradient together. And there's a bit of wool, and there's a ton of Firestar in there. There's both purple and teal, and oh, I just love it. These aren't super my colors. I mean, the tealy greeny is, but it actually looks a lot like him, which, I mean, makes sense. He's the one who made it, right? But what my plan has been from day one was I wanted to spin it and give it back to him because I really, really appreciated it. And this deserves to be with him. So I was going to spin it as fine as I could and chain ply it on itself. But now I'm thinking maybe I will just do a 2-ply with my leftover white. So it'll keep the fiber intact and really show off the cool bat. But he'll get some more yardage out of it, so he can really maybe make a small something out of it. I don't know. That's going to be the next thing on the wheel. I'm going to chain ply this and free up the bobbin, and then I'll take care of this project. and then those socks, the sock spin. So I'm really excited about it. It's not often / ever that I think I have actually spun a very specific project with a recipient and intention in mind. Normally I just sit down at my wheel and be like, I'm just spinning. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Last thing that I have to show you is this morning while I was clearing off my bobbins, I had found my other jumbo bobbin, and it had this single on it that I was thinking I'd spun up a whole braid. And frankly, this is from years ago, probably at least 4 years ago that I spun the single. So I'm not sure what the fiber content is because it didn't have a tag with it anymore, or who dyed it. My guess would be Wool Gatherings because I have a bunch of her stuff, but don't quote me on that. I was thinking that I had planned on making it into a chain ply, and so I started chain plying it. No, that's not what I had intended. I don't know how well you can tell. I don't think it wants to get close enough to the camera. These are actually pretty thick singles. And they have I never know if it's a Z or an S twist. I think it's I don't know. I intentionally spun it as singles in the direction that I typically ply at, so I wouldn't have problems with my singles unplying. So then when I went to try to ply it, I made a giant mess. And then I remembered what I had done, and so I just wound it off. It's going to take a bath with this one, and then I'll have singles yarn. I ended up getting about 200 yards out of this, and it's a little less than 200 yards. It is, I would say, about a sport weight, and it's dense. It is dense. And I'm not a huge fan of working with sport weights, or not sport weights, singles. I think singles yarns are beautiful, but I always have problems with them. So I don't know if I will actually ever end up making anything with them. They're probably over twisted and weird, but hey, the fiber's pretty. So I don't know, maybe. We'll see how I feel about it after a bath. I think that's all of the things on the table, guys. So I think we're going to call it here. Thank you so much for joining me. I am currently waiting for Amazon to deliver my SD card reader so I can transfer this video over to the computer. Hopefully I can get it uploaded in the next couple of days, and maybe maybe I will record again. I think I would like to. This has been fun. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.